In this presentation, we will generate, analyze, print, and export to Excel a budgeted profit and loss report. We'll take a look at a budgeted profit and loss and a budget versus actual profit and loss report. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Online. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars file. You'll recall last time we entered data for the budget, and we did so by going to the cog up top, and then we went to the tools, we went to the budgeting information, and we entered this budgeted information. If you were to edit it, then you can go back into it and enter that information here. I'm going to close this back up then. We're going to then go into our reports now. I'm going to go to the reports on the left-hand side. I'm going to type in up top for the budget information. I'm looking for the budget information, and I have an overview report. We have the budget versus actual. I'm going to take a look at the budgeted overview report. So budget overview. I'm going to close up the hamburger and hold down control and scroll up just a bit to get to that 125. So here we have the budget overview for 2020. This is the P&L budget, and it's going to be showing January through December 2020. So we have the information down below, and this will, of course, reflect what we have input into the system. The net income, as we saw in the data input screen, being negative up until August, and we are showing profit on the year of the 6,171 for the year. You have some of your standard kind of customization tools up top. If I was to customize the date range, we can go from January, for example, for the first quarter, which would be end on 03/31/20, and run that report. And then we would see January, February, and March, and of course the total for that 3-month time period. We have the similar customizations up top where we would do our similar kind of customizing, remove the pennies. I'm going to make the negative numbers bracketed. We'll make them red. Scrolling down, we're going to say that the header and footer, we're going to remove the date and time. So we'll remove the date and time. We're going to go ahead and run that report. So there we have that, and looks good. So I'm going to go back up top, and I'm going to take it for the full year again as a 12/31/20, and then let's go ahead and do our printing of that report. We'll print it as a PDF file, and we'll export it to Excel. So I'm going to go to the printing option, and I'm going to be printing it using that Qt PDF printer. So we're going to go ahead and print. It's going to be printing to the Qt PDF printer, which means it's going to be printing as a PDF. Then we'll go ahead and save it. Then we'll say, hey, where do we want to put it? So I'm going to select the drop down. We're going to say it's in the course data. I'm going to make another folder, and I'm going to call it number 11 budgeting, something like that. And then I'm going to put it into the budgeting folder, and then I'm going to call it the budget overview, and then save that. Then I'll close this back out, and then let's export it to Excel as well. So I'm going to export it to Excel, open it up in Google Chrome. So there it is. I'm going to go ahead and, well, we could do some formatting here. If I go to the second tab and back to the first tab, so page layout view back to normal view, it doesn't fit on a page, so we got to do some formatting with this particular one. We're going to go back up top to the page layout. I'm going to go to the page setup. I'll select the orientation, bring it to the landscape, and we're pretty close. That's pretty close. And then we can basically shorten this one up, possibly. We can shore that one up, and maybe we can shorten all of these up. If I highlight all of them and I double click on them, it'll make them a little bit uneven, but it'll shorten them as small as they can go. And we could change basically some font sizes if we need to, but it seems like we should be able to make these a little bit smaller. I'm not sure why. I'm gonna highlight the whole thing and make these a bit smaller and see if it a little bit smaller. Does that? It makes this one not quite fit. Make that one a little bit bigger. All right, something like that seems to fit. All right, now I'm going to save this thing. I'm going to go back up top. We're going to go to the File tab. We're going to save the report. Going to locate where we want to put it. We're going to go to the Browse function to do that, of course. I'm going to put it down here in our budgeting folder, and I'm just going to call this budgets and save that. And there we have it. So I'm going to minimize this and take a look at our other report now. So let's go ahead and duplicate the tab up top for this one. So I'm in QuickBooks. I'm going to right click the tab and duplicate it. Then I'm going to go back to the tab to the left. I'm going to open up the hamburger. I'm going to hold down Control and scroll down a little bit to get back to 100% so it doesn't do anything funny. And then I'm going to go down to the reports on the left-hand side looking for that other report, the budget versus actual report. I'm going to search for that one. So I'm going to go into the search field and type in budget. And we have the budget versus actual. That's the one we want. I'm going to pick that one up, open it up. And then we'll close up the hamburger again. We don't need the hamburger anymore. I'm going to hold down Control and scroll up just a bit so we have that budget versus actual. Now we can change the dates up top. I only want to look at the budget versus actual for like the 2-month time period because that's the only time period where we have actual data in it. So I'm going to select the first tab up top. I'm going to say 01/01/20, the dates up top, to 02/29/20. That's going to be the 2 months of data, actual data that we have. And then if we scroll down, we see our information, of course. So this is what actually happened. This is what would be on the P&L for January. This is the budgeted information for January. This is the difference between the two. We also see the percentage of the budget. So we have the percentage of the budget. Then for February, the actual number, the budgeted number, the over budget, and then the percentage of the budget. And then finally, we have the totals for the 2-month time period, the actual, the budgeted for that, combining January and February, the budget overview, and the over budget, the difference, and then the budget percentage. So you can see those numbers all the way down. So our comparison's a little bit arbitrary because, of course, we didn't have a lot of data. We just kind of picked numbers for the budget. But if we were to compare this out, we'd say, we didn't have any equipment rental in January. We budgeted 1,000. Sales were much better here in January, and the sales of the products were much better as well. And then the cost of goods sold is higher due to the sales being higher. And we had the budget for the bank service charge. We had the depreciation for the budget that we didn't record the depreciation in January. If I look at February here, let's take a look at February. We have the depreciation, so 900 difference on the depreciation. Insurance here, that was a bit closer. Payroll, we're off by 600, and payroll taxes. So you could basically go down through and do your analysis from the budget to the actual information. You have some of your familiar characteristics up top. Notice what has been selected for you is basically the dollar over budget and the percent of budget. You don't need those, but that's there by default typically. If I take them off and run that report, it looks a little bit easier to look at. But those are two things that you would typically want to see if you're comparing the budget versus actual. This would just be comparing the budget and actual, but not seeing the difference between the two. We'd probably want to see that. So I'm going to go back up top. Those are going to be these items up top. And we'll run that report. All right. And so we're back to let's go ahead and run it because I don't think we're back there yet. There it is. Now we're back. Okay, and then let's do the customization up top. I'm going to go ahead and customize this, and we're going to say that we want to remove the pennies. We want to make the negative numbers bracketed and red. We're going to go to the header and footer. We're going to remove the date, the time, the report basis, and then run that report. And then let's do our printing options, and we're going to go back up top, and we're going to print it to a PDF file, and we'll also export it to Excel. So we're going to print it here. We're going to be printing it to the Qt PDF printer. So let's do that. Say print down below. And then it asks us where we want to put it. It's in the right place this time. So I'm going to say this is the budget versus actual report. Save that. Let's then export it to Excel. I'm going to close this one out so we can do so. And then I'm going to select the drop down here, export to Excel. It'll then open up in the bottom left of the Google Chrome, and I'll open it up from there. There it is. Let's go ahead and copy this entire thing. I'm going to put my cursor on the triangle up top and then right click and copy the entire thing. So we're going to copy the entire thing. Then I'm going to minimize this one. We're back into the prior report that we have saved. I'm going to select the plus button down at the bottom, and then I'm going to double click on the sheet, and then I'm going to put that this is going to be the budget versus actual. And then I'm going to go back up top into A1, right click and paste there, put that up top. Let's check and see if it fits on a page. We're going to go to down below the page layout view. Doesn't fit on a page. Let's go back to the normal view and see what we can do about it. So then we're going to go and do our first thing we typically do when this happens. We're going to go to the page layout up top. We're going to go to the page setup. We're going to change it to the orientation. We're going to make that landscape. And again, that makes it really close here, not quite there. If I highlight the entire thing for all the columns and make this a bit smaller, and like a bit smaller, and now it's a little too small, and a little larger, but not that large, but like a little smaller, and let's do it one more time, just a little bit, and so there, now that looks pretty good. I don't see any numbers that have been removed due to that process, so I'm going to keep it there. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and save this. Then I'm going to go to the File tab, and we'll print this as a PDF file with all reports on it. We'll go to the Browse function at the bottom. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to go to the Print. Then we're going to print it to the Qt PDF printer. I want to print not just the active worksheet, but the entire workbook, which will have the 2 pages or 3 pages. That's what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and print it to the Qt PDF printer, and then it's going to ask us where do we want to put it. It's going to the right place. That looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and save it there. Now let's take a look at our reports that we have thus far and see how we might give this to somebody. We put them into the budgeting information. We could either attach these 2 reports, or we could put them into a folder and attach the folder after we zip the folder like this. And I'll put these 2 reports into the folder. And we should call the folder something other than new folder, so I'll rename it and call it budgeting or something like that. And then I'll right click on the folder, and we could zip the folder by sending it to a compressed or zipped file. So then we can attach that to an email, or we can open up this report, this PDF report, and attach simply this PDF report, which will have the 3 pages on it. I believe it does have 3 pages, right? Yep. So those are the 3 formats we can provide this information to somebody.